Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Unified Proving Ground Circuit. My name is Travesty. I'm joined here with Smats as always. But joining us here is Osama. How's it going, man?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How about, just league seasons back on, watching LCK at night, watching other leagues. It's all good.
Yeah. Some great matches all across the board, right? And we got a great match here in front of us. IMT AOE taking on Supernova. It's an elimination match. And there's a lot on the line for both of these organizations. Smats, how are you feeling going in?
Yeah, well, it's no late night Damwon Kia gameplay, but that's because it's better. These teams are even better than LCK. Exactly. These guys are going to have a great series. I'm really excited for this one. The Immortals roster, super stacked. I think a lot of people were expecting them to not even be in this match. I think a lot of people were expecting them to keep moving forward after the first one, but they did take a loss, and now they have to fight for their lives to stay in this group and stay in playoff contention against Supernova.
This is a day of the LCS affiliated orgs possibly looking at elimination with them and EG Prodigies. We're also on the chopping block. EG Prodigies able to get on by, of course, but over on this side, they've got a fight on their hands with Supernova, who has been dubbed the heart of amateur, and it's a team you can never count out. Osama, I want to go ahead and talk to you about it because you spent some time here in the amateur scene and then into academy. How are you feeling when you see a squad like Supernova, a squad that's been in here for so long?
So normally I feel like when I think of Supernova, I'm like, oh, Strumpus, I remember him being on there, or like other iterations. But Supernova's always, they're always contesting for a playoff spot. They're usually doing pretty solid. So I'm excited to see how they do against an LCS organization like Immortals. So hopefully good games. Everyone's gotten like 2-0 today. Maybe we see a game 3. So we'll see. I'm down to see how it turns out.
Who knows? Because our series beforehand was not a clean 2-0 by any means. It was a 2-0, but it was chaos, pure chaos that was on the rift. So who knows? We could have another little taste of chaos coming our way, and that could be very exciting to see as well. Matt, how are you looking at when these two squads go against each other? Is there a place that you're looking in terms of the matchup where you got your eye focused?
I think that for me, I'm definitely favoring Immortals in this matchup, and a lot of that comes down to the bottom lane. I feel like Meech is just one of the biggest standout players that is still playing in amateur. This guy has been so mechanically gifted for as long as I've been watching him. He and Trevor, I feel like they've been playing together for such a long time that I feel like they will have a pretty solid way of playing. And while they did struggle in the last matchup that we saw a week ago, I think they'll be able to bounce back and really bring this team to success alongside with the mid jungle duo too. But I definitely have been a lot more impressed with Immortals bot lane compared to Supernova. I've had some head scratching moments for Psycho. There was the Caitlyn builder who went shield bow. I was not super a big fan of that one, and some other moments as well. But I believe in Meech for sure.
Got a Meech stand over here. And for you, Osama, these players here from Supernova, we were talking about them. They're coming in here fresh. A lot of them have the synergy from playing in collegiate together in ASU. You look at this matchup between the two. You have some history here. How are you feeling going into the matchup? Are you feeling that it's a little bit more that IMT focus, or are you going a little bit more towards that Supernova squad?
So on paper, yeah, like Meech and Trevor, the bot lane of Immortals, and they have Winston. I've seen the people on Immortals in my like solo queue games. So like my first instinct is to think, oh, they just have like their base level is higher. I'm not sure how well the Supernova team has been coming together. I'm not familiar what their top laner is, or maybe I think I know of their mid laner. Was it Adriel?
Ariandel, yeah.
Ariandel, yeah. I think he has a pretty good Victor from what I remember.
Yeah.
So maybe he's like the standout like player that could get them to beat Immortals here. But on paper, I'm leaning towards Immortals for sure.
Yeah, he used to go by Descraton as well, so you might know him from that name. From
Oh,
Ranked.
he's Descraton. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, now something, it's all
Okay.
clicking for
See,
him.
I don't know. Yeah, you see, I know how it is with name changes. You know, I've had my fair share of few, so I look at the names. I'm like, okay, I know Winston, I know Trevor and Roy. You know, the bot lane of Immortals. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Someone known for changing his name based off of the role that he's playing. But I do want to take a moment to highlight the caster predictions and my favorite part of the show, where we get to look at everybody and see who is wrong. And there is only one Supernova believer in the crowd here.
Wow.
Ooh, yeah. Also, nobody's 100% after today either. The people who predicted Winthrop did not predict Taco, so unfortunately, Big Brain Boulevard not 100% today. Luckily for him in Rebel Fox, though, they got the first match right, so that's nice.
Yeah. they got that right. So yeah, they got the first match. They didn't get anything else, but nobody gets 100% this time around. Yet again, Colorcaster's also lagging behind again. Just wanted to keep putting that storyline, that narrative is forward. With that being said, before we end up sending it over to Casters and Osama, any last thoughts that you have before we go into the series?
I'm hoping for 3 games personally. You know, I usually like when it goes really down to the wire for these elimination games. So, nothing really much. I'm just hoping for some good games.
Me too.
Smats, how are you feeling? You on the same boat?
Oh yeah, for sure. You think I'm hoping for bad games, Travis? Come on, man.
No,
I'm right in there too.
Well, let us know what you were thinking by going onto Twitter and using the hashtag #WeAreUnified, and your tweet could show up on twitch.tv/academy. Feel free to hit us up with any kind of questions that you possibly could have that you want to see broadcasted. It's your moment to be onto that Academy stream and have your stuff highlighted for the rest of the world to see. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us here on the desk. We are going to throw it over to our casters. So, gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you very much, Travesty, and the desk is so much fun now as we get to hear more and more about our predictions, and I can still lord it over RMC. I love it. Thank you, Travesty. Let me do it. Even though I'm 1-1, RMC is currently 0-2. Yes, the play-by-plays rule the predictions list, and tonight, this next match will hopefully be no different. Once again, you saw a lot of us sitting there with Immortals AOE as our pick. However, it's been the night of upsets.
Yeah, and I'm worried for Immortals AOE now. It feels like the more the analysts are predicting one team, the less it's happening here in this night. And let's not forget how these teams got here, starting with Immortals AOE. They were up against Winthrop just last week here on the second day, of group stages. And even then, every single person, all the analysts who were asked to predicted IMT AOE. And, well, they lost. So now that they're here, things are kind of iffy. And for Supernova there, they played up against Dare. And unfortunately, Dare 2-0 did just lose to Winthrop, though. And so Supernova down here playing against IMT AOE for their very lives in the group of life, where tonight, one team out of all 4 teams has no more chance at another life.
This is, even in the group of life, there has to be just somewhere to make that life meaningful. I just got super philosophical, and I do apologize. So, getting into it, though, Supernova will be rounding out on that blue side. I believe it was Immortals AOE that actually chose the red side here in game number 1. And of course, automatically, we do see the Karma Band of Wave first. That was a pivotal one that a lot of people have shown a lot of priority on. Same with the Caitlyn, though, banning that one right away. Now in the jungle and mid, taking out the Zins out and TF these bans coming through very, very quickly.
Yeah, the Twisted Fate, especially against the likes of Ariendel here, who you heard on the desk previously. Descraton there has been doing amazingly well on these roaming champions. And, when I had an opportunity to talk to Dylan, the coach of Supernova here, they said that they have plans going into this. They've identified how IMT AOE like to generally play, and they're going to target out some of these picks, some of these ways of playing. And the Akali ban, I don't know if that was originally something they needed to deal with, because I don't think that IMT AOE's actually played the Akali yet. But after the last game, yeah, ban it.
I'm saying it feels like the old school Fizz tank. It's such a nuisance. Base damage running rampant, and so I have to agree. Right after that game, you're just like, no. Listen, we don't want to deal with dark tech, and IMA going ahead saying, listen, cool, you banned that away, great. We're still gonna focus the bot lane, and I think this is the right call because the Jinx is being hovered as that first pick. We did not see it at all in our first series of the day.
Yeah, banned away in game 2 there, but between both these AD carries, Psycho and Meech here, Jinx has been their most played AD carry throughout this tournament, is very high in terms of the tournament meta as well. Interestingly, Immortals AOE instantly responding with the Jarvan here for Winston, and we've seen the J4 pick have a lot of effectiveness on these immobile carries. You pick up the Jinx, we're going to try and punish it, and it looks like they're going with the Jhin as well, and usually when we've seen the Jhin into the Jinx, especially Jinx with Enchanter, a lot of times we see it with an aggressive engage support, something like the Leona or the Nautilus to pair with.
I mean, it is an option here as well, so still have a little bit of time to play around with the support picks, especially since 2 were banned off. And I have a question as to whether they'll pick it up here. 1 more to go if they want to blind pick mid or a top. That could be an option for Supernova. But it's tried and true, right back to what works and sometimes what doesn't in the jungle. The J4 and Lee Sin matchup will be making a return, albeit with a bit of a difference. Double ADC composition coming up for Supernova.
Yeah, and even though Corki is technically an AD carry, he often plays slightly differently. He plays more like a mage, does AP damage as well here. And it's a bit of a different look from what we've seen from Supernova. Yes, Ariandel has played the Corki before, but out of the last, how many games is it now? 7 games they've played, Corki is the one pick which isn't a global style champion like the Rise, like the Galio, pardon me, like the Twisted Fate. And unfortunately, when Supernova did pick that Corki, they didn't win that game. They have to get through the early phases of the game, which is normally where they shine. But without Ariandel to sort of provide that global pressure, their early game, I need to see whether or not they can shore it up with the top side or maybe with the support pick here.
Yeah, this is something that they will have to opt for. However, we do get that staggered pick list here. Both a solo lane and an ADC and a jungler have been picked for Supernova, whereas the bottom lane for IMA have been rounded out, so you can start to see exactly where they go. Immediate support bans coming out for IMA. Meanwhile, on the top side, immediate top lane bans. The Gwen, I think, rightfully banned away from Anime Girl. It is one that he does like to play. I think he played it last week as well, so very, very solid ban.
Yeah, most played champion right now, and something that he's willing to blind pick even into bad matchups. I'm a little bit surprised that Supernova are, trying to maybe pinch the mid pool a little bit here, considering that now Immortals AOE, because they're picking their solo lanes, and they know where the Corki is going most likely, they can counter pick the mid lane right now, save the top lane counter pick as well. And for a team like Immortal AOE, even when they lost to Winthrop, their individual skills and mechanics were on full display. They're a very strong mechanical team. So I feel like giving them counter picks is always something that you have to be very, very careful of.
This is going to be very interesting. The Lulu and the Camille again, kind of expected to come out here once again, still targeting the top lane. The Lulu, I'm surprised, actually made it all the way through. I was thinking that maybe it would have been picked up very early on, instead of the Corki, that one could have been left to the side. Now Shochi, with this Syndra, it seems to be the blind pick of choice, which in the current meta makes sense. However, this champion has been left open, a hover over the Akshan, a hover over the Azir, and now a hover of just about every single champion in the game.
We'll have to wait to see what they want to pick up here. They have to pick a support and top laner. It's going to be the Mundo. It's a safe support, safe top, to pick up here, but against somebody like Anime Girl, when they're given counter picks, there's a lot of things they can go to. And because you've already got the Leona and the J4, Anime Girl doesn't have to pick something supportive or tanky in the top side. You can go for those carries to deal with, which is, I guess, why we saw the Gwen and the Camille sort of picks UJC into the Mundo here. Now, the Nautilus pickup as well is worth noting for Supernova. It won't be the Enchanter. Instead, they're going for a very, very tanky frontline to soak the damage and buy time for Psycho on this Jinx, rather than trying to buff up the Jinx and provide that direct protection here.
Yeah, 2 different ways to play the protect the ADC. Sometimes a good defense is as good as a great buffing utility for the offense, right? That's totally how the saying goes. Top lane though, Anime Girl taking that Graves. This is another one that you kind of chip away at the opponent. The difference is this is a Mundo. Once you hit that level 6, has a built-in regen factor that, you know, the Malphite that we saw earlier doesn't really have.
Well, that's when you buy the heal and cut. The Executioner's calling to try and cut some of that damage, but Graves does great into a lot of these melee tanky bruisers where you just kite them out for days. You use your range advantage. You've got the dash, you've got the smoke screen, the slow as well. And Anime Girl can take over. We saw Niles on the Graves as well. Even when you're behind on the Graves, or even when your team is behind on the Graves, split push will always be a big threat. And when we look at Supernova's composition, we talk about that really beefy front line. We talk about the Corki, the Jinx scaling as well, really strong, and when they have that range, that space to play with. But none of them are exactly great at split pushing, so they don't have a great answer if Anime Girl gets ahead. And for Immortals AOE here, I feel like it's kind of familiar territory. We've seen these sort of compositions come through from Maryville here, and unfortunately with Immortals AOE, you know, like when you've got something like a Syndra, you're kind of in the early game when you've got a utility AD carry. Granted, you've got a secondary in the top side to make up for that lack of damage here. IMT AOE are looking to play to the early game, and it feels actually a little bit reversed to me because Supernova was a team I expected to have a really strong early game coming into the series.
Well, I think it fits Immortals AOE, right? This is a team that was slated as going to go straight through this group, kind of a shoe-in to that playoff spot. And I mean, we talked to them before, right? We heard about what they were thinking. And now in this kind of consolation match for the second seed, you even spoke to them, I believe. They said that this should be their win, and not just that, they should take it easily if they kind of want to redeem themselves.
Yeah, no, for them, it's do or die, or not even do or die. It is just failure is not an option for IMT AOE. They're putting immense amounts of pressure on themselves because there is that expectation and they believe that they should be playing up to that level. So IMT AOE, this draft shows it, right? It's an early game draft. You're looking to make plays happen with the J4 early ganks down. You're looking to dominate every single lane. And then the question just becomes how well can you close out? This is what you pick, and then you have to execute on. Supernova, on the other hand, are coming into this particular matchup with almost the opposite mindset. They don't have the expectations on them here. As you can see from the predictions, only Rude predicted Supernova to win. So they don't have that pressure of like saying, okay, guys, we have to win here. Instead, their mindset is that, hey, we know what our weaknesses are. Last week, when we played against Dare, our weaknesses were exposed. And so instead of saying that, hey, we're going to the next game and saying we have to win the next game, they've instead said, we're going to work on our weaknesses. We've got our game plan, and we have trust in our team, in our coach. We're going to execute that game plan, and our game plan is to transition early leads into the mid game. If we can do that, we'll win. We'll take care of ourselves, and the win will take care of itself.
Yeah, and that's such, I want to say different mindsets. It's kind of interesting. Sometimes here on the desk and sometimes on the analyst desk or broadcast desk, whichever one you want to pick, we don't get to talk about that as often. It's very, very difficult unless you've been a player to kind of figure out how those mindsets affect your gameplay, right? The mindset of having to perform to perfection. And I want to talk about that because that can be a double-edged sword. You said it yourself, right? The fact that this is due, they cannot fail here. And that can sometimes force play to change, right? A normally aggressive team, if they feel they have to win, might not take those early game fights, even if they have an early game composition.
Potentially, and my eyes especially are drawn to, of course, their solo laners. The players we say have a little bit less competitive experience here. I mean, Winston's coming in from the academy scene, or has had experience in the academy scene. He's no stranger to this sort of pressure here. Meech and Trevor, they've been in the scene quite a while, and they're rock solid in this bot lane here. Even when the rest of the team is falling apart, Meech and Trevor are usually still performing really well. So Shochi and Anime Girl, these guys have huge carry potential. And when we're looking at the lanes, once again, Syndra, Graves, right? They're not playing to scale. They are playing to dominate here, and it'll be a good test. Can they bounce back from the loss they had against Winthrop? I know that it surprised them. They took it a little bit hard, in terms of losing unexpectedly there. But this is the test of your mental. If you can bounce back, things are looking good for them. And if you can't, then, well, it's time for the more experienced vets to kind of step up a little bit and carry them through, get their mental back in the game, and continue on in this tournament.
That is something that I really, really want to see. I personally, I love a good redemption story, right? The story of a team that was slated to win, kind of falling down, failing expectations, but rising up to the occasion, giving themselves back that glory that they so miss. Because, I mean, even if they lost the first series, if they make that playoff berth, they will have a chance kind of at revenge, especially since Winthrop round, right? There is that chance that they will face off once again and get that much needed win over them. And even then at that point, that would be a much larger stake, right? The pot would be so much sweeter, I feel, at that point. But of course, they do have to focus here and now against Supernova. The orgs may have a storied past, the players are a little bit fresh to the face. So we'll go ahead, go to a very short break, ensure a clean and perfect broadcast, hopefully, of course, for you viewers at home. So please don't go anywhere. Be right back with the first game of Supernova versus Immortals AOE. And welcome back. We can hear the call of the announcer. Welcome back to Summoner's Rift here on the Academy broadcast. We are back with game number 1 of Supernova versus IMT AOE. Of course, the third game of the day, and hopefully not going to be only the second to last game. We want to see a full best-of-3 series between these two teams. It would be great. However, IMT AOE playing for a little bit of blood here and a little bit of glory.
Out of order, bro. Trends tonight have been upsets and 2-0s here, so we'll have to see how it goes. Another interesting trend is the way a lot of these games have been going. At least here on the Academy stream, it felt like late game compositions were just doing better. And Supernova, they've drafted themselves a late game composition with a team that has traditionally excelled in the early game. So I'm very curious to see what the game plan is here to get them to that late game.
Something that we do have to watch is, of course, Becco on your screen and Fire Theft, these two. On priority champions, the Lee Sin and the Mundo, these are two very scary champions that could be making some rounds in the mid to late. And it'll be on Winston to kind of shut that down in the early stages, playing a J4, playing a flag and drag champion that is known as an aggressive jungler. We want to see Winston be able to affect the lanes very early on.
Yeah, especially, like you said, flag and drag level 2, you can technically start looking for ganks here. And partially, it also depends on your lane setup, right? The lanes have to be setting up for you to gank. If not, if there's nowhere for you to gank, then maybe Winston could start looking for invades, because Becco on the Lee Sin, I feel like, has more agency. You don't need your lanes to set up for you. Sometimes you can just brute force the gank in ways that J4 can't always do. But as I say that, this is pretty forceful here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a level 2, so you have the chance.
You don't expect it.
Trevor wants to go in. That's going to be a hook going in, a nice huge stun, and I think that's going to be the easy kill. Winston pulling off a cheeky level 2 gank and already meeting our expectations.
Beautiful. Exceeding my expectations here, Orbital. I was hoping for a level 2 gank, but the way they pathed it, beautiful. And you could tell Supernova weren't expecting it here. You go straight from red, you clear wolves, and you're going down. And there's like, oh, sorry, they didn't even clear wolves here, just off the red buff alone. And because of that, Supernova, they didn't even drop any wards whatsoever. They weren't expecting this. And on top of that, Winston isn't losing any time off of this gank whatsoever. You can just go right back to your jungle and continue clearing.
Being picked up, that is going to be so nice to be able to manage later on. And again, you're looking like you can clear the rest of your side. We're taking a look on the flip as well. Becco on the bot side clearing out a majority share of that jungle, and hoping for a bit more in return as mid lane Shochi has taken nigh complete dominance. Ariando quite low. Uh-oh.
And right away, we talk about setup. You saw about calling jungle help over.
Oh, that's going to be a pull. A nice Valkyrie out with the flash to follow. I honestly thought Ariando was going to get away, but Winston said nope. Slap on the back of the head. Free express trip to the fountain.
Ariando thought he was going to get away. The flash is still up for him. He just valked away, and he thought, okay, I'm safe at this point. But you've got to remember, this is Winston. This is the man who was level 1 because he got invaded when the opposing jungler was level 4 and still counter-jungled his way through the early game in the OQs here. So definitely a lot of aggression coming forward here. You love to see it. And I think Becco's a little bit on the back foot, doesn't know where to go, doesn't know what's going on. The bot side scuttle wasn't taken by Winston, but Becco doesn't know that and didn't even bother trying to check here. He instead just reset because he just assumed it was gone after the bot side gank.
And assuming here is something that I don't think the teams can make, so kind of keeping eyes on that as we move forward. Already some aggression. And that is something that I'm so excited to see. Like I said, or like we were talking about, we want to see Winston kind of affecting the lanes, and Psycho, of course, on the bot side, already being put behind by Winston's gank. Now eating a lot of chunks. Trevor was throwing a little bit of that Xenoblade out, but it didn't really work. Ariando, though, in the mid lane once again, eating a bit of damage. Shochi, though, hiding behind that little minion, is able to dodge out on the shock.
And I want to point out that Ariando already used teleport to get back into lane after the last gank there. So really dicey if they're forced back once again here. Bot side, we said that Psycho got set behind, but I do want to remind everybody that Pseudo was the one who died there. So Psycho is able to keep up perfectly in farm. Now they got a lot of damage from Trevor. They're trying to go for Dragon, but you can't actually do this in the face of opposition.
You really can't. Winston still moving forward. Nice route down onto that Nautilus, but drag back is going to be right on top of Flame Chomper, so Psycho goes, I win, and they back out without much lost.
Perfect disengage. And IMT AOE, if they want to, might actually want to look at that Dragon themselves here, especially with the pressure that Shochi's just getting down mid. The ult is up and available, and Ariandel can't even step into range right now. I don't think you even need the extra orbs. I think just the ult alone with an auto might be enough to finish him off.
Oh, Fire Theft. So with that ultimate, regens up and forces Anime Girl out at that top lane, down about 10 CS, should close that shortly, but that is a fantastic win for Supernova on the top side. As we said, just got to survive that early game.
Yeah, Fire Theft doing decently for themselves. Was down CS though, and one of the changes, in 12.1 with the teleport is that trying to break freezes can actually get a little bit more complicated because you can't teleport to a minion anymore. Fire Theft not really opting to freeze this one here. They're okay with that bouncing back out, and you know what? Maybe they're just trying to make pressure so that Anime Girl can't TP down to the bot side, help up, and roam back top. But they don't need it. IMT AoE's bot lane strength and jungle advantage is enough for them to secure this free dragon without Psycho and Pseudo even being in lane.
That's also a very early take. That's one of the earlier dragons that we've seen taken, I think, 45 seconds after spawn, or no, minute 45. Very, very sorry about that one. That was the option there, but Arienda once again gonna be kind of poked out, but able to trade back this time. Shoji also eating about 45%.
Yeah, and that's actually pretty big that Ariendo is able to trade back fairly equally because Ariendo doesn't have that many combat stats yet, just the double longsword in inventory and the tier not providing too much combat stats. Now Pseudo looking for something here, does land the hook.
Oh, very, very nice. Shoji able to flash away this time. Ariendo, though, running away. The kills are landing, and one more toss might be it. And it will be a trade of kills. Kill going to Shochi, and then one going to Pseudo.
I'm actually not quite sure who wins that really in terms of getting gold, because on the one hand, Supernova does get the assist gold, so it's more team gold, but the kill went over to Pseudo, not onto Ariandel, which is not the ideal situation here. You want to be getting that Corki up as quick as you can in terms of that scaling, and Shochi did secure the solo kill, so if anything, I think Ariandel's lane is still going to get a little bit tougher. The CS might be a little bit more difficult to get, and the moment that ult comes back up from Shochi, you know what? This time we saw Pseudo roaming. I want to see Trevor there first next time. I want to see Winston there first next time.
So many players that we kind of want to watch be that menace on the Rift. And on the bot side, Trevor and Meech keeping that wave contained. That Beko is able to draw out the Rift Herald. Of course, it is on a ward, but I mean, what can you do, right? Everyone else on the bot side, Winston farming away some Krugs. So at least Supernova will be able to use that, potentially get a first tower and try and play for some extra plays.
Oh, top side though, Anime Girl not having the best of this trade. Does have the Vamp Scepter now though, so at least that's a little bit better. I don't think, okay, there's a pink ward. I was like, I don't think the missile actually hit.
Well, they are going for it, and Ariendo says, hey, guess what, Winston? You're not going to enjoy this. At least it's a trade back. Final shot lands, and the flash once again. Winston is playing so aggro. Pseudo is going to take a little bit of damage, but the Ignite, not enough to take Winston's life. Phenomenal play from IMA. The tower dive, in the face of adversity, still able to come out without any deaths.
Okay, and Beko's looking to try and capitalize here. I don't think they've seen... Okay, yeah, the pings are coming out. They need to disengage Meech on their own. I want to highlight part of how that play went down and Trevor's flash. You can see it's down there, but Trevor was super healthy. Trevor wasn't in danger of dying. That flash was what saved Winston. Trevor actually flashed in front to take the hook from Pseudo there to get Winston out, and this sort of teamwork is what we want to see from IMT AOE. It's what was missing from their plays against Winthrop.
Something that you want the camaraderie, right, from the players, and it's happening again. Just 30 seconds later, Immortals AOE say we're not done with this bot lane. Unleashed power being used. Winston being able to jump right back in. The Dragon's Rage is going to land some damage, but Shoji takes the life of Beko.
All of that off the Herald play. They were trying to answer back, but they're starting to lose pace a little bit here, Supernova. They're a little bit behind the play, so Shochi able to shove out, come back down. The resets came through from IMT AOE as well, and Meech once again has to be a little bit careful about getting caught there. Meech, I don't think actually got the reset the last fight there. Had to come back in, so a little bit low on mana. Still sat on a ward.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he wants to, because now he's got out. Oh, he does get the flash off. I don't think Pseudo can follow, but first time you recall on a pink ward, second one you just recall on the ward. First one I feel could have been taken down a bit.
But you can see the response too, right? Every time they cancel Meech's back, you start seeing Shochi look to roam down. Trevor coming out of base, roaming down as well. Yes, the ward protects them, but at this point, Supernova has to be very, very careful and very aware that, hey, is it actually worth stopping Meech's recall every time like this? Meech is still farming up. They're just going to go back with more items, and Psycho and Pseudo are not getting a tempo advantage. They're not getting priority on their movements.
Now we get to see the jungle pathing coming in. IMA going to give it the best shot. A Q comes out, meaning Becco does realize that the Krugs were pulled away, and with the meaning of the supports, it now means Supernova realize the bottom side of the map is already being invaded. They're starting to lose a bit of ground here in the macro sense.
And a lot of times for a team, when you start losing one side of the map, throwing more resources into it isn't the best play, especially when your extra resource, the jungler in this case, is still going to lose out the trades in equal numbers. So I would like to see Supernova kind of go, okay, we recognize our bottom's being camped out. Let's drop some wards. Psycho, Pseudo, you guys play safe and play the Fire Theft instead, because Fire Theft has been doing really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, the bot lane, not so much as we see. I think this is for the 4th time Winston visiting this bottom lane. This one probably the longest that they've done, waiting a full wave. This is about 15 seconds of action, and they call it. They just go right in. The curve of the bullet landing, and Psycho falling for a second time. Winston just getting out of tower range. Last shot to land, slow down Ariandel, and drop. I believe that was the bot lane.
No.
So they're going to go with Shochi saying, hey, I'm ready to go. Nice stun lands onto the Corki. And this is going to be the closure that they want to finish out this bot lane dive. They take a clean 3 kills and don't care at all what Supernova have to say in response. Becco, wanting a bit more, gets the smite on the red buff. But still, IMT AOE ruling the bot lane.
This is definitely a very different IMT AOE. And we had questions at the beginning of the game here, Orbital. After that big loss to Winthrop, how is Immortals AOE going to bounce back? Apparently, they're going to bounce back real strong here. Their bot lane dives have been very, very clean. And Psycho Pseudo overstayed a little bit. They actually had vision. They knew Winston was coming down. They knew Trevor was coming down. And I think they thought that, okay, we can handle this. We'll just call the TP in from Ariandel there. But you could see by the time the TP was in, Psycho had already dropped. And yeah, we get to see the repeat on the dive. Notice that there was the wards right there. There was the one at the red pit. They saw Trevor and Winston rotating around. They opted to stick. And right here, you should have just disengaged completely. Meech was not able to run under the turret. You overstay. It's too late. Psycho is dead. And maybe you can survive 3v3, but 4v2, that's definitely not going to work out. Minions or not.
This play here, Shochi having the priority angle on Ariandel and then the follow through, right? This was as clean as you can get, and it's all because of that captain, J4, the general of the army, leading his team, and we even said it as well, right? That is the player that we wanted to watch make the plays happen. Now, 4-0-4, kill participation in 8 of the 9 kills, has absolutely proven himself here in game number 1.
Yeah, and all of this, though, is coming at a cost. That cost is Anime Girl, Ariandel.
Ooh, flashing away from one last orb. Shochi so close to putting a 4th on the board as well.
Wait, is that a Hex Drinker that Ariandel had to build really early to survive?
Yeah, that was first item that was completed, I believe.
Wow, you know it's rough when that has to happen. A lot of times you'll see them rushing Immortal Shield Bow instead, and they're trying to find a fight.
Yeah, well, the fight found them as Fire Theft was able to clean out Sochi on the back line. They were able to take down Pseudo, but Becco just wants to get away with his life. A 1-for-1 trade is not the worst thing in the world. And I think IMT AOE will be okay with that cautious tale of an invade.
Yeah, in fact, you even get the bounty that was on Shochi there for Fire Theft. The problem, though, is this is what happens. Simone, you leave Graves alone, right? We saw it in game 1 of Maryville there, where Niles just takes over. Anime Girl, this entire time, I was going to say that IMT AOE's success on the bot side came at the expense of Anime Girl. Anime Girl has been completely left on an island. Becco invading, taking away red buff and all that stuff. But the moment you take your eyes away, now that you've got enough pressure down bot side, Anime Girl gets to rejoin the game. Now, Meech might be on the receiving end of a dive. Shochi trying to get down here.
Yeah, and this is a little bit of revenge, but the Gale Force already being done means
so
Meech has way more mobility here. They're so low right now, and a couple more shots could mean their death. Is this going to be the 3v1? Pseudo says no, it's not, but they gets 2 more. 1 more shot is going to be there, but no, Psycho is going to survive. It's still a chance at a follow-through. Oh my lord, Meech plays out of his mind to make it a 1-for-3.
That's your AD carry. You just pulled that off there. I don't know what to say. We had questions. Can Supernova, what was the early game plan? It don't know. Doesn't matter. Their early game has been completely just ripped apart here. And good play from Winston and Anime Girl as well to punish the mid lane. Anime Girl, though, might be in trouble.
Yeah, and I think Anime Girl is going to fall here. Rocket from downtown, able to be dodged out, so at least the kill does not go away. And Anime Girl got away. I for sure thought that was going to be death. But with the collateral damage, able to make an outplay with the rest of the team there to cut it off. IMT AOE once again stave off death.
Anime Girl, I love you. That's got to be the sexiest 0-0-0 scoreline I've ever seen on any player. I mean, Anime Girl's showing so much pressure, getting out as well. And granted, you look at all the stats, it doesn't look amazing. Oh, we get to rewatch this from Meech. Okay, we said it was a 1v3. I actually want to point out it's like a 1v4 because the Nautilus does get down there first. But Meech is just outputting so much damage here. And they're just literally waiting for the reload. Psycho barely gets the kill. It's great for Psycho, but the cost is just too high for Supernova in general.
Oh my lord. Everyone wants a Meech on their team, right? Everyone wants Meech as their ADC, because that's what you want to see in that situation. And I have to give props. Supernova did try and retaliate, right? The amount of ganks that was poured down to the bot lane, Supernova tried to retaliate. And it was good in theory, but again, Meech with that completed Gale Force was just too powerful. And you can see it there. 4 members of this IMA squad top the gold chart. 7K on a majority of them. The next one down is 500. Fire Theft now going to feel the weight of that gold difference as they chase down the Corporate Mundo, who sees his stocks absolutely plummeting.
Goodness.
Now on the top side, we see a return value as well. This is a cross-map battle as a kill of the top end support comes through. Supernova going to try and fire right back. Super Mega Death Rocket does land. Anime Girl wants to aggress back, and they might be able to find it.
Okay.
Damage makes it, and he gets over the wall. One more auto gets. No, Anime Girl.
No!
He survives again. How much HP is that? Someone tell me. Has to be in the single digits.
You can't keep getting away like this. This is insane for IMT AOE. Thankfully, for Supernova, they at least get the top lane turret. There is objective bounty gold on that, and oh, Psycho overstayed for it. You know what? Worth.
Yes.
Worth.
Okay, I agree with you, RMC. Definitely worth. 450 gold bounty picked up as well.
Yeah, Psycho tried to tell us, oh, calm down there. Meech is good, but I can 2v1, 3v1 as well. Able to find the turret and the kill on the back end of it. For Supernova, that's probably the best case scenario in this position. But when your best case scenario involves your top laner dying, your bot side turret taking an absolute beating, and potentially losing a dragon, you know you're deep in trouble. Actually, they might not lose the dragon here.
Not. If Ariandel has anything to say about it, Flagon Drag used, and that means to go in. The package is down. I think it was timing out, and I mean, why not? They are going to pick it up. Nice bounty collected. Anime Girl, though, stepped up a little bit too far and is going to fall. So they pick up the dragon, the bounty gold on top, as well as a kill. I think Supernova are going to get feel very good about themselves.
Okay, we just got confirmation from production that this actually happened. Anime Girl survived that topside fight with 1 HP. Psycho will not survive with any HP, this particular one.
Oh man, hashtag skilled, I believe, is the call that many players said facing a Syndra, and it's coming back to haunt every ADC here. Psycho falling for his 5th death. And IMT AOE absolutely out for blood right now.
Yeah, you can see that they're just sieging into this here. Oh my goodness, Pseudo.
Oh, one more shot. Couldn't make it happen, though. And no curtain call to finish it, but it doesn't even matter, right? IMT AOE just saying, listen, we don't even care about kills. We have almost a kill a minute. Let's look for the inhibitors. One more catch. A sweep from Sochi means that these inhibitors are open. Cannot be finished off, though. IMT AOE say we've taken enough. We have plenty of gold to back with, and we're going to prep for this Baron. We want to make sure we close this out nicely.
Oh my goodness. IMT AOE, they're playing really disciplined this game. Like I said earlier, they were lacking this sort of discipline in their Winthrop game, but this time we're not overstaying for anything. They're knowing exactly what they're willing to trade. Hey, Psycho, you want to take your top turret? That's fine. We'll trade somewhere else on the map. Then we'll come back and kill you. Hey, Arendelle, you want to take that bot side? We'll give that to you. We're going to break your base wide open. And now you've got 2 exposed inhibs. IMT AOE, they're incredibly strong right now. We talk about wanting to find fights around neutral objectives. The inhibitor is basically a neutral objective at this point.
Oh, well, Beko actually jumped a little bit too far. The Lee Syndrome gets him killed. And now the curtains open for what could potentially be a second to last act. In goes Trevor, though, and doing the same thing as Beko is going to trade his life back. Winston ready to go with a little bit of a jump in, but the healing and regen from Fire Theft stalls him out from charging.
Yeah, there's not... there's healing cut on Anime Girl, but I don't think Anime Girl actually tagged up Fire Theft, so... Pseudo! What?
Pseudo. You throw the hook after the CC lands, and you're still going forward. That might be the opening that they want. Anime Girl flashes for the shotgun kill, and Fire Theft is going to be run down. Anime Girl still wants more. Down goes the smoke screen. Down goes the players as Supernova lose 4. Beko now up and alive, but Baron is calling IMT AOE's name.
Okay, I was out here talking about Fire Theft and one single misshook. We talk about Lee Syndrome. What do you call it for the dredge line for Nautilus? Because I think that one was more deadly for Pseudo there. Unfortunately, getting caught, getting absolutely punished. And now that's a 22-minute Baron we're looking at, Orbital. When your base was already cracked, IMT AOE, you can go for the 1-3-1. You can take every lane at the same time. And Supernova, they're reeling here. I'm struggling to find a re-entry angle for Supernova into this game.
I have to agree, right? There aren't many options, right? We said that Supernova had to scale the late game. We said that they had to reach those item breakpoints for their 2-star carries, Ariandel and Psycho. This Jinx and Corki do have the potential to break through this front line of IMT AOE, but you lost the early game, right? At 23 minutes, you are staring down the barrel of a 12k lead, 8 towers to 2, where a single death can mean a base gone. IMT AOE understood the assignment and got an A++.
Yeah, and even now, this is a 2v4 situation.
Oh, you know what? 2.5. The long-range snipe from Meech makes it a 2.5 versus 1.
Yeah, and before I'd say, 1-3-1, split up Supernova, they don't need to do that. They brute force just into the base right now with the minions, and they can just take all the inhibitors. They can play this by the book. 15 seconds before Pseudo comes back up, but the depth charge is down as well, so the engage is certainly not as potent as it needs to be.
Yeah, and this curtain call is just used as a zoning ultimate, just allows a majority share of IMT AOE to jump in. Fire Theft wanting so much help, and the collateral damage doesn't bring the kill, but drops everyone low enough to force them off the inhibitor defense. Now it's going to be IMT AOE rounding out the last little bits of the base. They are making this look clean. They are saying we want to leave no opportunities for Supernova to come back. You are going to have to deal with supers, double supers, for the next few minutes.
They have to go.
Is that going to happen? No, that's going to be the package zoned all the way in the back, and it does zone him out very, very well. But the kills come through right back in just annihilation, decimation, pure carnage in favor of IMT AOE. They clean house, take 5 lives, and are going to go ahead and finish out this game 1 in style.
IMT AOE said there is no do or die, there is only do. And failure was never an option. They're showing off their stuff. Yes, it's not a perfect game in terms of, yes, there were deaths, yes, the objectives were given over, but this is about as perfect as you can expect at a semi-pro level right now. IMT AOE, they aren't here to play. They're here to get the job done.
Yeah, it's just a 9-5 for them, and with the Baron empowered minions, I think it is over. Winston laying down the last few hits as soon as they stop fighting Pseudo there, and one more kill. Wait. Okay, should be finished off here. Winions for the win. It is going to be 30-9. Well over 1 kill a minute for this IMT AOE squad. RMC, we said it. IMT AOE have a lot of pressure on their back. How will they respond to it? Apparently with a lot of aggression and a very quick game.
Yeah, we're talking about, a lot of expectations and self-pressure versus no pressure at all. The pressure is definitely helping IMT AOE here. And for Supernova, in their defense, their coach, Dylan, prepped for the game. And we've seen their preparation in the early game often take over the early game. I completely believe they prepped, but I don't think anybody was ready for IMT AOE to show up like this. This is not like how they've performed at all throughout this tournament. I think this is the IMT AOE we were expecting when we saw their seeding at, 4th seed going to OQs, 3rd seed coming out of OQs. We expected this to be sort of their ceiling coming out of things, because they are a new team. They are still a dev team. They're still working on things. And tonight, they're hitting that ceiling for now. I want to see them break beyond that ceiling and go into game 2. I want to see Supernova go back to what worked for them before with the early game compositions. Yes, you had a lot of skill on your side, and if you got to that point, you probably could have won. But you can't get to that point right now. Not against this IMT AOE, not with this sort of draft.
Not at all, and I mean, IMT AOE getting a space to shine here in the Proving Ground Circuit Qualifier, and that wouldn't be possible without the sponsors here helping out Unified and giving everyone here the chance to show off the talent that they have. Of course, to Atlantic, to Topology, to Skulls, as well as Gangster, we say thank you to our sponsors as we are unified in making sure players get the chance to show off what they have learned, how much they have practiced, and how much they can bring to the table, as well as Skulls, most notably bringing a lot of apparel here, as well as we talked about the hoodies and the sweatpants and the banner, but even the arm guards there. If your arms are feeling a little bit cold there on stage or maybe in your own home, make sure to pick up some of those as well. You can take a look at the Skulls website, check out under Unified for all that they have to offer. Go ahead and buy yours there. With that, we'll go ahead and I believe go to a little bit of a hype video. You saw it earlier on, but we got to hype up the Academy as well. They are showing some awesome, phenomenal games there as well. Make sure to tune in and see what the Academy has to offer.